For part 2 of the training house, we will add a custom drawn window to each of the openings on the bottom floor. To start this process, the first thing you want to do is make certain that your roof and the outer walls to your house are indeed both grouped together. I can click on 1, and you'll notice that the group is all the way around, and click on 2. You can also double check to make sure that there's no other parts of it that are not there by right-clicking and saying hide. This way you can make sure that all the lines that you think were in the group are in fact in the group, because the entire group was hidden. If there's something left over, it's not in that group and may need to be deleted. Right-click and hide this one. All objects seem to be gone, so to bring them back I can just go to Edit and unhide all. Now the windows we're going to be drawing are going to fit in each of these openings, which are identical in size. It is important to remember that these windows will be drawn on top of the walls and not inside of the walls, aka in the group. So we do not want to be in the group here. As such, we want to be on the outside. However, if this is not a group, this entire part will not work. So please be certain that you have a group you're working with. To begin these windows, what we will do is we will take our line and come straight out from these windows 1.5 feet. Alright, and actually that looks a little large. Let's undo that. Let's come out 1 foot instead. 1 foot. And I'll then want to do the same over here and infer to the edge all the way around. And remember, you have to connect the back edge here, because if I were to hide this group, you'll notice there is no line back there. What you're actually seeing is just the edge of this group here. So let's connect that, and you'll know it's connected because it'll shade itself in, as you see here. After ordering around at the window, I want to use my tape measure guidelines to move over 1 foot and 1 foot. With these lines marked, I was carefully use my pencil tool to connect these lines together so I get this face, making sure that I absolutely hit each of the points that you see to be left with this particular shape. From here we're going to push pull straight up, and we want to snap to this edge. Don't go too high, don't go too low. To ensure you snap, you can always snap and drag up a line that you can see, and you'll feel it snap into place so you get this particular look. Now from here we're going to draw a simple roof on top of this object. The easiest way to do so is to create a couple lines straight back, which we'll use as reference. Next, we're going to take these lines and drag straight up, making sure we're on the blue axis. Always extend your lines a little bit further than they have to go, so you could tell that it's blue in color, and then enter the distance, or simply infer as you've done before. With these lines we're done with, and the rectangle drawn, delete, delete, connect your edges from here to here, here, and to here, with your roof shape that should look like that. We now want to add some detail to our window, so using our offset tool we will define the windows a little more clearly. First, with my offset tool, I'll click and drag an offset 2 inches from each of the edges. I can then double click the other faces and the same offset will apply. If it doesn't, then you can just go back and make sure you set the offset to 2 inches. Next, I want to push pull the window itself back about 1 inch to give me some depth, so you'll have just a little bit of space. If you do it correctly, you should be able to click all the other windows and get that same look and same feel. Windows in the front of the house usually don't have crossbars down the side. They're usually just wide open windows. So what we want to do is we want to add just a little more detail to the frame. So I'm going to mouse over the lines inside and once again give myself an offset of 2 inches. The push-pull here will be out 0.5 of an inch. So it should come out halfway between the offset you just created. Any further than that, you won't be able to tell that there's another depth or window inside. If you do the first one correctly, you should just be able to mouse in and double click the faces for them to pull out. So at this point, our basic window is completed. Now, like anything else that we finish, once it's done, we want to lock the shape together. If we don't lock it together, when we go to copy it and move it over here, you run the risk of distorting it or pulling only parts of it because it's not a group. Now, to do so, we're going to select the entire object like we usually do. However, let's just do this line real quick here. However, instead of making it a group, we're going to make it actually a component. Components and groups are very, very similar with one key difference, which we'll show momentarily. With the entire object selected, let's right click and make it a component. It's going to ask you to name it, so I'm going to name this lower window. So now you notice it looks just like a group and even acts the same as a group, as it highlights, and I cannot change any part of it unless I'm in edit mode. If I'm in edit mode, I can change whatever I want. I'm going to now copy this window to the other side. And remember, whenever you copy a group or component, you never want to copy it from an edit mode. If you copy it inside of edit mode, the component or the group will just be bigger, and it won't be just this window. So I'm going to click out. And now it's important to really grab a right point to line up here. Pick a point where you can snap to any one of these edges. For this case, I'm going to grab this point. I'm going to press Control, and I'm going to slide it. Oops, that happened because I had the actual house selected, not the window. Press Control, slide it down, and drop it into position. With the two windows dropped into position, we now have the front windows done, and they're ready to be colored and made more detail. Now, the cool thing about components is once you make one and copy it, they will react exactly the same. So you notice that as I click the different faces, both of them are highlighting, which also means that as I change either one of these, either it's this component or this one, they're both going to react the same. So with my paint bucket tool out, I'll start to add a color to the roof. And as you can see, both of the roofs are coloring, which is what I want. I'm also going to go through and I'm going to just change and kind of clean up these faces with my translucent. I'm going to make the windows translucent or see-through, and I'm going to color these wood frames accordingly. In this case, I'm going to color them a deep maroon color. Now, whenever you're coloring, you want to zoom in to make sure you get every edge and check your color to make sure you like it. I'm actually going to go even darker than that, a little lighter than that. Perfect. And the key to being zoomed in is by scrolling to exactly where you want to be, and it'll save you a lot of time, as you can always hit your faces. Now, because these objects are both components, we don't have to do this to the other window, which would take a really long time. Instead, as I'm coloring each one of these objects, the other window on the other side is coloring as well. You can see that both of them colored exactly the same way, and your bottom windows are done. This concludes the basic part of part 2. If you are ready to move on to the top window, you can, or for extra points and extra credit, if you have time, you can try to create more difficult windows from what we see right here using the following method. What we want to do is we want to add a little bit of an overhang on this window so that if water to run off here, it would not drip onto the windows itself. So to do this, we want to actually delete this roof here. But remember, you want to be in edit mode of the group. So double click, get into edit mode, and here you can very carefully delete all the lines that you see. What we need to do is we need to copy this kind of shape. To do so, we're going to mouse over and we're going to create lines 3 inches out. You notice how I always pull my lines further than they have to be, because it's just easier to see that the lines are the green, blue, or red that we're looking for, so we don't make any mistakes. Those all connected. We want to select all the back lines, connect them together, and you'll see now we have extended out the base. Let's go through and delete here, and we can pull this out, or we can copy this and see what it looks like on the bottom. So if I copy these faces, I should be able to copy this and pull it straight down until I'm on the face down here. An exact mirror. Let's finish off the top part first, and you can see that both these are changing. Back in edit mode, we use the same procedure we did before to get our roof to the proper height. So we came back from this edge, we'll go up 1 foot. We can actually even infer this line. Complete your roof. Notice that your new roof has an overhang to it. Not done just yet. Let's go underneath and delete these small lines that you see here. Now with my push-pull tool, I'm going to push and pull this edge down a little bit. Now if you came this far, it would look like a canopy, which is a possibility if you wanted to have the roof hang over that far. Or you can bring it up a little bit taller so it's just a little bit of an overhang and snap to the top of the windows. In this case, I'm actually going to bring mine back up to the top, and I'm going to bring them down for a distance of 4 inches. With the top roof done, we will move our focus to the bottom. If we orbit around and look at the bottom and use our push-pull tool, we'll see that the outside highlights and the inside highlights. Let's take the outer edges, pull down, and set that at 4 inches. That'll match the top over offset that we see as well. Now we want to go back and actually want to connect these lines together to fill out a nice even space at the bottom to match the top. It should look like this at this point. Alright, with the bottom done and the rest of the house brought back, we can go ahead and finish the rendering of it. And whatever colors you're going to use. Making sure you carefully get every surface. Alright, last step for the window challenge is that if you notice, you look through the window and you don't really see anything. That's because the window, the back side of the window, there's something blocking it. So let's right click and hide this again. And now you'll see the back. This little shape has to go. So we'll just click on it, into edit mode, press delete, and now you should be able to see through your windows. Edit unhide all. And your 2 bottom windows are complete. If you'd like an additional challenge without any type of instruction, see if you can add some kind of flower box along the front edge here. Something that hangs off the edge, drops, and is hollow in the middle. If not, you can move on to the next step, which is the window for the top portion of the house.